after 8 until 12 o'clock, if at all possible.
Madam City Clerk.
Adoption of the agenda.
We can't hear you.
I'm sorry, I lost my word. Adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda is adopted.
Appeals, we have requests for a waiver of the noise ordinance on July 3rd and 4th on Marine Street, June 30th on Wellington Street, July 4th on Charles Street, June 30th on Marine Street, July 4th on Austin Court, June 23rd on St. Charles Avenue, and June 22nd on Brossett Street.
So moved.
Second.
Properly motion and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
We have the appeal today of the Mobile City Planning Commission's denial of a planned unit development to allow shared access between two lots located at 2955 and 2989 Dolphin Street, southeast corner of Dolphin Street and Sage Avenue. Appeal.
This is an appeal of this particular item. Is there, is the applicant here?
Yeah.
Mr. Pipes, come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Casey Pipes, 2255 Ashland Place. I'm here representing Rob Myers, the applicant. This is an appeal of a PUD denial. The PUD was to have an access road in a development at Dolphin and Sage across Dolphin Street from the basketball court we've been talking about already, District 1. The appeal was, or the application was just to have shared access. It was to have a road come in on Sage, wrap around behind two lots that are on the hard corner at Dolphin and Sage, come out on Dolphin Street. Now, the Planning Commission's denial of this application was arbitrary and capricious, and it was not based on any valid ground, because instead of going through the analysis and looking at the PUD and the criteria for a PUD, they went off in a different direction and said, well, it's not really zoned B2, which would allow for a car wash. It's zoned B2, but limited to a bank or a drugstore. Now, that is an issue that is beyond the Planning Commission's authority. They are not the arbiter of what the legal consequences are of a notice, and I'm going to get into that in a second. But the basis of it is they went off their authority in making this determination as to what the zoning is. And the only grounds for the denial by the Planning Commission was the zoning doesn't support car wash, because when it was rezoned in 2008, it was limited to a car wash, it was limited to a bank or a drugstore. Now, that's a legally incorrect conclusion, but again, it's beyond the Planning Commission's charge. The rezoning ordinance was adopted by this City Council in 08, Ordinance 64-049. It doesn't use the word bank or drugstore or car wash anywhere in the ordinance. It's not limited to certain uses, and car washes are not prohibited by the ordinance. And y'all have seen these rezoning ordinances over the years. There is a laundry list of conditions attached to just about every rezoning ordinance y'all have adopted. And if an applicant or if the Planning Commission wants to limit certain uses, such as we'll rezone it B2, but you can't have this and this and this and this and the other, there's a voluntary use restriction that the applicant can fill out if they want to consent to those things. But it all goes into the body of the ordinance. So a person like Rob, who's looking at buying a piece of property, can look at the ordinance and see what's allowed. Because nothing in this city is just zoned B2 or R1. It's always R1 with some stuff or B2 with some stuff. And you go to the ordinance. And so what happened here is the ordinance doesn't limit it to a bank or to a car wash, bank or a drugstore. The ordinance does not prohibit a car wash. The Planning Commission determined that because the city issued notice letter to the nearby owners, used those contemplated uses in the letter that went to them, that somehow that limits the use of that property forever to those two contemplated uses. Now, The reason that's legally incorrect is the city mailed notice letter is not required by state law. It's not even required by y'all's ordinance. The zoning ordinance says that the city may issue a letter, just like it may post a notice on the property. For example, the city council, as I understand it, the city does not intend to mail letters when you rezone all the property through the part of this rezoning ordinance that you're going to do. And you don't have to send a letter. But a letter went out and it gave the contemplated use. The contemplated use is never the only use allowed. There's always a contemplated use. And under the Planning Commission's interpretation, that means everything that is rezoned with a contemplated use disclosed can only be used for that use. That is not the way it's ever been done before. It's not the way that it's done for any other applicant. And what's going on is Rob's getting a different set of treatment. This property was rezoned in 08. He has it under contract in 16. He goes through his due diligence. He applies to the Planning Commission. He gets this same PUD approved, car wash, service road in a slightly different configuration, and none of this comes up about limited use. He then pays $675,000 to buy the property. That original PUD in 16 expired by about 4 months before he came back and applied for the same thing. All the rules are the same, all the laws are the same, all the ordinances are the same, but his 2018 application is denied because of a zoning problem that doesn't exist. We would ask that you grant the appeal.
Thank you, Mr. Pipes. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor of this particular appeal? If not, is there anyone that would like to speak in opposition?
Good morning. My name is Donald Stewart. I live at 121 Fraser Court, also in District 1. I'm here representing a group of about 18 or so folks who live near the property in question. And I just ask them to raise their hand or stand just so you can see that they're here and very interested. If I lined up all these folks to address you about this application, they would each explain to you the large number of reasons that putting a car wash on this piece of property would be a profoundly bad idea from a planning standpoint. But my job is not to carry that message for them today. My job is to only stress the fact that whether a car wash would be a good idea or a bad idea is irrelevant. It is an illegal use of the property if it went forward. We've sent each of you a letter that goes into some detail as to the legal analysis, and I'll just give you a short form version of that. The Planning Commission's letter denial, after a lengthy analysis, concluded, quote, the use as a car wash is not allowed by the rezoning ordinance. It's number 64049. That conclusion adopted the written and oral opinion of the entire legal department of the city of Mobile, telling them that that was the case, that there were defects in the ordinance on which the application was founded, and those defects would render it invalid to authorize any commercial use of the property other than possibly a bank, as was proposed in 2008. As I indicated in my letter at length, the legal department's opinion properly says on their analysis that a car wash can't go there, but it doesn't go far enough. If there is a defect as they identify in the ordinance, that ordinance is invalid in its entirety. It currently would not support any commercial application there. Its property is still zoned residential as it was before 2008. But that point of disagreement is irrelevant because these folks are not asking for a bank. They are asking for a car wash. Under any analysis, the Planning Commission properly denied the application based on the law and the opinion it got from the city's legal department. There's nothing that can possibly be called arbitrary and capricious in their following the direction of the legal department of the city of Mobile. In fairness to the property owner, if he wants to pursue the issue of allowing a car wash on his property, he has a procedural option to do so. He can file an application to rezone the property, either to unrestricted B2 or to conditional B2 allowing a car wash. That application would be considered by the Planning Commission, and after a public hearing, a recommendation would be made by the Planning Commission to the City Council. The City Council, based on that recommendation, decided to go forward to consider the rezoning. It would set up its own hearing. I can assure you that going forward from this point, my folks will fight at every ditch and crossroads in opposition to any rezoning that would allow a car wash. But that's not a debate for today. Today, the only thing that needs to happen is the council needs to affirm the Planning Commission's determination that the application was properly denied. Appreciate your time. Thank you much.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak in opposition?
We usually allow a short rebuttal, but
I'm not against Mr. Pipes, if you would like to.
very short.
Thank you, thank you. The issue, the arbitrary and capricious issue, y'all's review of the Planning Commission is if they go off their authority, if they exceed their authority, if they deny something without a reason, or if the reason they have is not a valid reason. That's where this appeal comes in. That's the job of the City Council here. And the Planning Commission is not the body or the group of people that determines how to interpret the legal effect of a letter that the city sent in 2008 to some property owners. The city map calls it B2. It's listed as B2 everywhere in the world that the city can publish. The city staff called it B2 in 16 and in 18. But the Planning Commission comes up with a new interpretation of what these notice letters mean for Rob Myers. It's a denial of his equal protection, it violates his substantive due process, and it's a regulatory taking if this property is downzoned or limited to a bank, all of which render it completely worthless to him and to the market. Thank you for your consideration and your time.
Any questions?
Go ahead.
Yes, sir, I'm just asking of the council, any questions of either attorneys?
I don't have any question, but before we take this up, I have a statement to make.
Yes, sir, Mr. Richardson?
I'd like to say that we are lawmakers or legislators. We make the law. And it's difficult we can't make the law and then come back and break the law. See what I'm saying? We can't be lawbreakers and lawmakers. Lawmakers must obey the law. So to make sure that we obey the law, the Zuckerberg Act permitted us to hire an attorney to advise us as to whether or not we are legal in making our decisions. So when we got the appeal before us, I requested that our attorney look at this appeal and render a legal opinion to this council that we can follow on sound ground. We are not taking up zoning. It's not before us. Whether or not the Planning Commission acted arbitrarily and capricious is what's before us. So I ask our attorney, Wanda Cochran, to render us an opinion as to what the council ought to do in light of what's before us. And I'm going to ask us could you briefly give us what that opinion is before we vote? If you don't want to do it, don't.
It was a lengthy opinion, and let me just say that I don't disagree with the analysis of the legal department or Mr. Stewart. This property has a long history, and it's easy to get lost in the details of what happened in 2008, and then there was one in 2010, and then there was one in 2016. So you have to start where you are, and where we are is an appeal of a PUD application. And there is many ways to look at what the Planning Commission did. In my view, the Planning Commission had no legal authority at all to allow an access PUD in this circumstance. And that's about all I want to say about it, because it's very dangerous in the land use area to have these blanket rules, yes and no. So my opinion is limited to this application on this particular site.
Mr. Richardson,
No, I'm ready for call
any,
for the vote.
any further comments or questions from the council?
Move to sustain the appeal.
Is there a second?
Make sure I understand what's
To approve the appeal.
The motion is to approve the appeal.
Okay.
I will second.
It's been properly motioned and second that we would approve the appeal. Any discussion? If not, all in favor
Of what?
of approving the appeal?
Okay.
Again, all in favor? All in opposition?
Opposed?
So the item has been denied due to 7 in opposition. Madam City
You
Clerk?
might want to clarify that. There's some mystery looks out
The
there.
appeal was denied.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay. Madam City Clerk?
Public hearings. Today is a public hearing to determine if structures at 1851 Boykin Boulevard, 724, also known as 718 Bankhead Place, 348 Camel Street, and 962 Government Street are public nuisances, and ordering them demolished and ordering 962 Government Street repaired.
Is there, well, we'll allow all of these,
Well,
anyone
that's-
else that would like to?
I think they want to stay.
Oh, okay, well, you're certainly welcome to stay.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Is
I
there
don't
anyone?
know. Well, look, this-
Given the opportunity to leave, I think
Right.
they will take you up on it.
Yeah, we'll give them a chance to leave. Just 1 second.
Just remind the
No,
council,
one
there's a
second.
motion, that when we go to vote on these, there's a particular motion that needs to be made. And I'll make, yeah.
All right.
Okay, we're ready.
Now, is there anyone that, would like to offer any commentary relative to the addresses or the homes that have been mentioned by our city clerk? Yes, ma'am, if you could state your name and address, please.
Yes, my name is Mary Sanders. I'm the daughter of Annie Sanders, which is up there, my mother.
Ms. Sanders? Okay.
Ms. Sanders, yes. I'm here on her behalf from the Plateau community. They want some property to be demolished that has been there for a while. That
What's the
I don't
address?
feel that is a nuisance.
What is that address?
348 Camel Street.
Is that address on our?
Yes, it is.
It's on here.
Okay, well, what is your address? I'm sorry. Your mailing address?
760 Highland Avenue
760 Highland Avenue.
in
And you-
Annie Sanders.
And you're coming today to speak in reference to what property? again?
348 Camel.
Camel Street.
it's been removed.
You can continue.
They said that property was a nuisance, and it haven't been. I don't think it's a nuisance to the neighborhood. They want it towed down, and to have it towed down could value more than what the property is worth. And it seems to me, since some development is about to go on in that area, they have been over there, saying that property is a nuisance. And I just think it's another way of trying to take the property from the older people.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Diefenbach, if you could, she's referencing 348 Camel Street in the historic Africatown Plateau community. If you could come and offer any commentary that goes along with this particular request. Yes, sir.
David Dockenbaugh, Deputy Director of Municipal Enforcement. I just want to let you know that we do have problems with this, and we are processing it through demolition. We've got exterior wall problems, and then also roofing problems to the point where it's an unsafe structure.
We can't hear you, Mr. Diefenbach. And I want to make certain that Ms. Sanders can hear you as well, if you don't mind.
Yes, the Municipal Enforcement is processing the 348 Camille Street as a demolition. We have noted that there's roofing problems and exterior wall problems to the point where this is an unsafe structure, and we would like to go forward with having it declared a public nuisance. However, I do want to point out that the property owner here, they have applied for this morning. There was some problems with ownership on having a building permit issued to them, and they did receive one this morning. So it seems to me that their intention is to go forward with the demolition. And I think what she's trying to explain is that it's possible that she, the homeowner, the property owner, could do the demolition cheaper than the city, because not only would we go with the lowest bid through our contractor, rotating contractors, but we would also put an administrative fee of a couple $100, $200 onto it. So I think that's the route that they want to go to, and we'd be happy to work with the property owner to go for that result.
Is that your intent, Ms. Sanders?
Well, it's my intent if it has to be done, but what I'm trying to say that I don't feel that the property is a nuisance to the neighborhood. It haven't been throughout all of these years, and it's been in the same condition. But now since some development is going into the area, they have been over in the area picking property out, saying that it is a nuisance to the neighborhood. Therefore, a lot of older people, which is my mother here, which is 92 years old, which is very unable to even pay to have the property torn down, that we're gonna have to do something on it on our own. But therefore, that has been going on in the community. To me, it's just another way of just owning their property, because they can't afford what they are charging is more than a lot of what the property is really valued at. Now, the area she's living in now, it is some areas there that need to be cleaned up if they was really just interested in getting some areas cleaned up. But look like to me, they are over there in that area just speaking out things that need to be done. That's the way it appears to be to me, because a lot of older people there are losing their property due to that. And she has been owning that property for I don't know how many years, and it's been the same structure, being kept the same way. So therefore now, and it's like in a wooded area where the house really can't even be seen.
That's right.
But if we did go on and get the permit, if it has to be done, you know, we'll try.
Well, what's before us, well, this is saying for it to be demolished, not repaired, but to be demolished. Ms. Richardson?
Yeah, Mr. Vice President.
Yes, sir.
I would just like to ask him, is the house boarded up? It's not boarded up. Do you have any open doors or windows at this house?
No, not as we know of.
No, it's not in it.
Okay, and I think Mr. Dr. Buck cited that the walls.
Exterior walls and roof. It looks like the roof is collapsed in a section of the house.
Okay, that is the roof gone?
Not completely, no. It's not real noticeable, but a carpenter or somebody, they would know. But just me looking at it, it looks all right.
And it's not visible also. It's just like in a wooded area, they don't went into an area
It's close to
and found
Scott
out
Paper.
saying that, you know, but this is a piece of property somebody probably owns or whatever. It's just me,
Ms.
you
Sanders,
know.
is this your property here?
I
With all
think
of
that's it. It's
With all the woods and all that around?
Yeah,
Okay, so.
The whole area in there, from the starting point of where for the plateau community is behind the kids' place, all that section is like a little wooded area.
Yes,
That's why I was still, and it's been that way for years, you know.
But it's a lot of people still live in the area, but it's not well kept.
Okay, so.
That's in the magazine front area.
Yes, ma'am.
Close to Scott Paper Mill.
I want to get around to, so Mr. Dr. Mark, are you saying that a leaking roof is criteria enough for demolition?
No, sir, not by itself. A leaking roof necessarily would not be. However, in this case, we have a structural collapse of the roof, and we have exterior wall problems that are at the point
So
making this
what is
structure.
happening with the wall? What is, because they say it's not falling down or nothing, so what is happening with the wall?
There's defects in the wall, the exterior siding, and with the roof collapsing, it would make this an unsafe structure.
My point is, I don't want us to get off in no leaking roof, because a lot of us may have leaking roofs, and I don't want to start demolishing our house over no leaking roof, because leaking roofs all over the city, so.
And just to follow up, it's more than just a leaking roof. A section of it has collapsed.
Not,
Let me
okay.
ask, Mr. Diefenbach, if Ms. Sanders and her daughter, they've applied for a building permit. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. They applied this morning. I understand they had some problems with probating due to a will. And I believe she brought the will this morning and went to permitting and was issued a demolition permit.
Okay, so they've applied for a demolition permit or a building permit?
Demolition, in case we make them demolish.
Demolition, so you're now willing to demolish the property?
Well, if we have to, but what we was trying to do was talk with you all to tell you that we didn't feel that there was a need, that it was a nuisance to the neighborhood to be torn down.
Well, Ms. Sanders, I happen to represent this area of town, and I've gotten, over the years, I've been here 4.5 years. As I looked at it, it's jogging my memory, I've gotten several phone calls about this particular property, but I'm also sensitive to the testimony that you all are giving now about applying for your permit and moving forward with demolition on your own. If they were to do that, Mr. Diefenbach, how much time would they have, and what would we need to do in order to give them a limited amount of time to move forward on their own, and if not, maybe revisit this?
If council goes forward and declares it a public nuisance, that would be great. That would be the position of municipal enforcement. But we're in a position right now to work with the property owner, and if they need 3 months, 6 months, the permit would be valid for 6 months, and we are willing to work with them to go forward and get that process done.
I think that would be a great way to move forward. Ms. Sanders, and let me get your last name one more time.
Sanders also.
Ms. Sanders also. The issue would be this: if we do that, and I'm sensitive to both the number of years you've invested in that community and also what you've shared with us today and your daughter shared with us, if we do that and allow you this time period to go your own and tear it down yourself, then I'm hopeful that you all will take advantage of that time, because if not, we're going to have to move forward with the same item in probably 3 to 6 months, because the charge we're getting from your neighbors, from the visiting, and as I look around that property, there's some homes that people are really trying to keep up, keep the grass up, and what we hear from them often is that properties of this nature bring down property value, invite vagrants, invite crime, and so they get on us in our community meetings about eradicating properties like this. So while we want to work with you, we're going to have to move forward either on your end or our end in making certain that the property is addressed. So is that, we on the same page with allowing you all to attempt to demolish it, but probably if it isn't done in that time that you and Mr. Diefenbach agreed to, then we're going to probably have to address it here on the council agenda again. Okay. All right.
Mr. Vice President, let me have my final remarks. Ms. Sanders, if your daughter had not told us, there would be no way I would believe that you were 90 years old. I'm just saying, you look good. I just want to get it on out there.
All right. All right. So they need to get with you.
We've talked already after pre-council.
Wonderful. All right.
Ma'am, yes, ma'am. Okay, thank you all.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
Could I give a comment on 962 Government Street?
Yes, sir.
It's going to be really brief. It's based on the council advice that we should have some oral supplemental information on this particular item agenda. 962 Government Street, it's on government and it's in historic district. It's a residential structure on its original construction design. However, over the years, it has been modified into a commercial type use with commercial additions. And the reason why we're here today is to have the council declare it a public nuisance to repair this property. The main problems that we're experiencing are with the commercial additions. They're flat roofs that have not been maintained over the years. And as a result, in the front addition, it is leaking. We've got documentation that's leaking internally. But it's the biggest problem that we know of is in the rear. That flat commercial roof, there's air conditioning condensing units that were on the roof. It has deteriorated to the point where it has collapsed, and those units have now collapsed inside of the building. But also, this is where the Alabama Power power supply, the riser to the building is attached to the same place where the roof has collapsed. And that's why we would like to have this building, this unsafe building, declared a public nuisance so we can go forward with some repair plans. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else that would like to speak regarding one of the addresses called by our city clerk? Not, public hearings are closed.
When we get to that resolution, I'll take it separately.
Yes, ma'am.
We'll have a separate motion that has to be made for that one.
I'll do the motion if that's fair.
Presentation of petitions and other communications to the council. Joe Keffer.
Morning.
Morning.
Joe Keffer, 3892 Johnstown Drive in Montgomery. I'm here today to address one main issue, and the issues are directed mainly at the mayor. There was some question about petition that was turned in. The association's position, and I talked to Mr. Young before the meeting, he's not on the agenda today, but just paraphrase what he said, is on May 11th, we went in, I was part of that group, there were employees there, and Mr. Young was there, and they signed a request for a meeting with the mayor. We didn't get any satisfaction to that request. We came to City Council. City Council suggested that we have employees sign a petition. We went back, or Mr. Young went back to the work sites, and the employees, and within about a half hour, had 40 employees that signed a petition to the mayor asking for the meeting. I've given that petition to the city clerk and a copy of it for each one of the city council members. I think you may have that in front of you. There's just one other part of it that I'd like to mention, and that's that it's the association that should determine who is on that negotiating team, including whether or not Mr. Young is on that negotiating team. And I use the word negotiations loosely to say the discussions with the city. I had a discussion with the city attorney for the mayor's, in the mayor's office, and I asked him about this. And I basically said, what is the procedure? What do we have to do? And he says, well, first you have to follow the chain of command. You have to go to the department, and I take it that meant Mr. Peavy, and meet with Mr. Peavy. What he said to me, though, is that who would be part of the team? He said it would only be employees that would be a part of a team from the association. And he said on behalf of the city, it would be Mr. Peavy. It would also be an attorney from, I think, the mayor's office, and somebody from the administration. It doesn't seem to me that that's the way negotiations, it's almost like you're asking employees to come in there against an attorney, against a top-level administrator, and you're not allowing them, and I say you, but it's the mayor's office that's the one that's taking this position. You're not allowing the employees to have their representatives in there. I think they have the right to determine that. We have submitted a petition. We request that those meetings take place and that somebody get a hold of Mr. Young to try to determine what the team would be and so forth. Being my comments, I would just say for a future date, though, we are concerned about the discriminatory impact of what's going on and mainly what's coming out of the mayor's office, and we will address that at a future time. Mr. Bass from the ILA, Longshore Workers, would like to take a minute to address you. Thank you.
Did Mr. Bass sign up?
He's not signed up. I'm allocating the rest of my time.
We don't allow for that, Mr. Kelly. But Mr. Bass is certainly welcome to come next week and have his 4 or 5 minutes. Well, will you be? Oh, I understand. I understand, Mr. Bass. Thank you, Mr. Kelfer. Do you have anything else? I don't believe your time has expired, but do you have anything else you'd like to share?
No, there have been people in the past that have allocated their time, but
Mr. Kelfer, that's not in our rules.
What's that?
Do you have anything else you'd like to say while you have your time?
I'm finished my comments. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Ann Davis.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Ann Davis. I live at 967 Westbury Drive, Mobile B6609. And I'm presently chairman of the LAD board and a proud longtime resident of Mobile. I'm here because South Alabama has announced their intention to build a football stadium on their own campus and is seeking financial support from the city and the county. I question the community's support of this proposed project. LAD Stadium is very much ingrained in the fabric of our city, along with its rich sports heritage and history. A decision to destroy this stadium should not be taken lightly. As chairman of the LAD board, I would like to point out that, as many of you on the council may know, the University of South Alabama, the GoDaddy Bowl, which is now the Dollar General Bowl, and the Senior Bowl have not paid any rent to LAD in the past. In fact, not only have they not paid rent, they have had a $20,000 credit for their expenses. However, this situation has been in the process of being changed. Add to this lack of revenue to the LAD board, requests by the past and the present administration to cut costs and be less dependent on the taxpayers for support are on record. However, I do want to point out that the current administration has been extremely supportive of LAD and have helped us in many ways, like with our trash after large games. I mean, this has been wonderful. Despite all these obstacles, the LAD board, along with the Michigan Group, have made improvements and upgrades on our own to LAD, and the feedback from the NFL, the Dollar General Bowl representatives in South Alabama has always been positive about the experience. And we are looking forward to and excited about working with the Gulf Coast Challenge this year. I also have to question the estimated amount of $8 to $9 million for deferred maintenance for LAD, as told to us by the city. The Senior Bowl's former director recently publicly blamed LAD for the poor attendance. But many times, it's just easier to blame LAD, to kick the can down the road. Again, I want to stress, the NFL and also ESPN have had no complaints. And to work with both organizations and to keep them both happy while working together is a feat in itself. Do we really want to bulldoze LAD in favor of a smaller facility? Tearing down LAD weakens the city's ability to host certain other major events in the future. Is a 25,000 person facility large enough to attract SEC teams to this area in the future? I think not. Is it large enough for a successful Senior Bowl? Don't we need to keep a venue that can host larger events? And you do know that the attendance record for South's football games, do y'all know what the record is? Not what's reported. Has moving USA's basketball games from the Civic Center to the Mitchell Center improved their attendance? Now, as a citizen of Mobile, I have no problem with South wanting their own stadium on their property. I mean, I applaud that. But I question if this is the right time for them to do this, and is it in the best interest of Mobile to financially support it? Have you asked whether the citizens of Mobile want their tax dollars spent to support this venue? Would the citizens maybe support this by way of a referendum to finance this facility? What is the actual economic impact of having a football field on South's campus, and what projections do they base this on? Remember when we were told that we'd have 350,000 visits per year as a result of the Maritime Museum? Is this really a priority when even our mayor admits that we have venues such as the Maritime Museum, the Civic Center that are virtually empty, and soon an empty Hank Aaron baseball stadium, not to mention the underfunded capital needs of our city police, fire, sanitation departments, and recreational facilities? I know that we are over 100 officers down on our police force. Have you studied the impact of traffic in the area proposed for the stadium? And have you asked who will build, I'm sorry, roads and drainages?
Ms. Davis, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Your time has expired.
Okay. Can I just say, all I want y'all to do, I'm not asking you to vote it down, I'm asking you just to put it off. It's happening really fast. That's all I want you to do.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for coming
I
down.
have a question if I could just ask.
Mrs. Rich?
Thank you very much. Do you have a list of venues in the past 5 years that, or could get a list to this council?
We could get a list.
25,000?
Yeah, we could get a list. I mean,
I'm just curious to know what that history is.
I know that, of course, when President Trump came, you know, we had a lot of people, and of course the Mississippi State game, we had a lot of people. But we could get that list, yes.
Appreciate that.
I also know the last time the Senior Bowl was a sellout was 2011, which is not that long ago.
Yes. Right. As Mr. Daves just said to me, and you might not have heard this, but he would like to get like a gate count. If someone through the Michigan group or your, you know, however you were looking at numbers that you feel are different than what is reported, and you have some
We have a gate count, but only of the events we have control of. It's South.
Okay.
They do the tickets, and
Okay.
we...
But the ones that you do have like legitimate numbers that you could give us?
Yes,
Great. I
we do.
appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Mr. Davis?
I would just like to come back to what Ms. Rich said, which is that we want hard data, not you know, estimates aren't going to do us a lot of good. If you come back with attendance, then we need to know that's verifiable attendance.
I understand that. I understand that. That's the same thing the citizens want. We want hard data. There should be, we need proof of economic advantage.
Yeah, but you understand there's nothing before us right now.
Pardon?
There's nothing before us.
I do understand it, but it's out there, as I'm sure you know. Anything else?
Vice President.
Mr. Small?
Ms. Davis, thank you for coming down. Did I hear you right that you said that Senior Bowl nor Dollar General Bowl pays to use Ladd Stadium?
They have not in the past, no. That was drawn up through the previous administration.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay.
One more question. And if they was to pay, how much would they pay to use Ladd Stadium if they was being charged?
Well, we've been in negotiations, which are kind of paused right now. But last year, South started paying us for the games, and they paid us $20,000 a game, and in their contract, it was to go up to $30,000 this year.
So when South leaves, then Ladd will be suffering.
Well, let's put it this way, Ladd survived for 50 years without South. Now, if they take the Senior Bowl and the Dollar General Bowl, yes, Ladd would suffer. People do not know all that goes on between, I mean, I don't even think South understands that when you have South Alabama painted on your field and you've got the Dollar General Bowl, Senior Bowl coming in, you've got to strip that. You've got to put all, you know, all of their colors, their name, everything on there. There's a lot that goes on. And not talking about numbers, but there's so many things that go on at Ladd, y'all don't know. I mean, they're doing a movie about Alabama and Bear Bryant at Ladd Stadium on June 29th. I mean, Michael Vick had a sports quarterback type event there. I mean, I could give you a list of other things that happen at Ladd.
That would be good.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think it was like $40,000 a game that South pays, correct?
Pardon?
It's $40,000?
20.
Okay, all right. Okay, I thought it was 40. Okay.
That just started last year. And the Dollar General Bowl still doesn't pay for well, last year they still didn't pay for anything but expenses, and they still had their $20,000 credit.
Do South pays for the striping?
They pay for the extra, yes, for the extra expenses, yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other questions of Ms. Davis? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Barbara Estes.
I'm super short, so I got to make sure the mic's good. Happy Tuesday.
All right.
We are glad to be here. I'm Barbara Estes, 200 Ridgewood Drive, and I'm here with the VIA Senior Center. And we've got some great people here today. We've got our members. Yay! They practice that very hard. And then we also have up in the top, we have our Grand Friends Adult Daycare Program that are here. That's a very, very special program to VIA. Periodically, we either mail y'all or we come to the council to give you guys an update on where we are with the center, and just so that you know that we are making a good investment of the city dollars that are spent through VIA. I want to thank you guys for your support. Thank you for your continued support. Thank the mayor and the mayor's office for his support of the VIA Senior Center. We looked at some numbers a couple of days ago, and we actually now serve, it's more than we thought, we actually serve about 49,000 seniors a year. That's members and community members, hits all of the city council districts. And we do that because we don't just do your regular health, fitness, and enrichment programs. We also do community outreach, our daycare, information and referral. We have an emergency food pantry, veterans programs, and transportation. So that's where we come up with that number. And let me back up right now, because I did not introduce my boss. Oh my gosh. Deanna Murphy, will you please wave? She's married to an Irish man, and she does a great St. Patrick's Day party every year with the coffee and Kahlua and all that. So she's the lifeblood of the center. Love Deanna. Sorry, Deanna. As far as self-sufficiency, I wanted to specifically address that. I know it's something that's on the performance contract this year. Y'all know we work very hard to be self-sufficient. Performance contracts, grants, low membership fees, and then our special event fundraising and our donor development. But we kind of look at our funding as pillars. And the city investment in the center is one of those really important pillars. I know that you guys know that. Two new things I wanted to tell you about under our drive to be more self-sufficient, even though we are pretty self-sufficient right now. We actually have been working with the Veterans Administration for 2 years to start a veterans pipeline program into our adult daycare program. We've started in 2016. We've gone through 5 certification phases, kitchen, transportation, programming, what else did we do? Dietary and social work staff. We've done all that. We are now in the contracting phase. That is really important for us because the VA, their veterans benefits will actually pay for them to be in our daycare, and we'll be able to serve some more of those wonderful veterans. They 100 people in the backlog. We're ready to take them. So we are real close on that. And the second thing is, we have started, we are now open on Saturdays. We're calling them our summer Saturdays. Through August 25th, we are open every Saturday from 8 to 12. We call this a non-budgeted item. We heard a lot of feedback from the community. There's been some programs. I know Pillins School is one of them. They've closed their Saturday programs, so we're welcoming those seniors in. Our staff actually is volunteering their time to work on those Saturdays and keep them open through August 25th. Part of that is pickleball, which I don't know if y'all know what that is, but it's a combination between tennis and badminton and some other things. And that's a big group for us that's growing. It's the fastest growing sport for seniors, and they wanted a place to play on Saturdays. So they are now at the center playing on Saturdays. And I actually, Miss Lisa, I've got a letter. Can I give you these? This is one of our lead pickleball ladies, True Nicholson, and she actually wrote a letter about pickleball and about yeah, did you see it? But we have copies for all of the council and the mayor on that. So we just want you to know we are now open on Saturdays to serve the community. We're willing to do whatever we can. You know, we're already a community-based center, so we're willing to do whatever we can to serve everyone in this community. So thank you again, and then we've got some members that are going to come up and speak with y'all. Thanks.
Now, did those members sign in?
Yes.
Yes. They did.
Yes.
They did, okay.
There's 3 of them.
I just want to make certain everybody knows we're applying the rules fairly.
Yes, we knew the rules, and we
in?
signed up.
Okay,
Yes,
yes, ma'am. All right.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Wilbur. Wilbur Coleman Nesbitt, and I'm a member over at VIA. I was born in Mobile, and I left when I was 14, and almost 60 years later, we're back. My husband and I missionaries, and the Lord sent us back to Mobile. And so we pray for all of those who are in authority that we might live a quiet and peaceable life. Amen?
Right.
Amen. So I love VIA. My brother Vernon Coleman introduced me to VIA before I moved here 3.5 years ago with my husband, and we just love being at VIA. And it's just the most wonderful place to be. From the time you walk in the door, you're treated with love and care and respect and honor. And I just come today just to say we could use an increase, however you want to give us an increase in finances. But you know, it's just so wonderful to be there, and I love the name that they gave the Grand Friends before I got there. Isn't that a wonderful name? Grand Friends. And so everybody is so helpful and so loving. I'm part of the exercise classes. I go 5 days a week. I had been doing 2 classes every day, but now they cut those 2 out. So I'm there for 7 classes, and I'm 73 years old. I love exercising. We have wonderful teachers. Everybody cares about you. We're making relationships. We're building relationships. We care about one another. When someone doesn't show up for the class, we're wondering, well, where's that person? What's going on with them? So it's more than just VIA is a way to, you know, it's a way of going. And so I think VIA has done a wonderful job in serving the community, in serving our grand friends. All of us are getting older, and we must love one another and take care of one another. And so they're just doing a great job, and I'd like to see them, see the city help us more and more and more. And if you haven't had a chance to come over to VIA to visit, you're invited to come. Okay? God bless you all.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I want to follow the rules. I did not sign in upstairs, but my name was listed on the agenda. Is that okay?
Yes, that's how it
Am I all
works.
right?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I'm Mary Zogby. I live at 2862 Hillman Drive. And since I retired in 2016, I have been an active member of VIA. And I want you to know that it's taken 30 pounds off of me. I don't think it would have happened, but this lady, Wilbur, and I are in the same aerobics class. I go 3 times a week. I have a private trainer that I work out with on the machines, too, so I don't mess myself up there. But I've taken up an art class. I've always wanted to do that. I'd been involved in art when I was a teenager and shortly after I married, but we've got a wonderful teacher there, Lynn Weeks, and she's quite a professional and is really training us very well. We've come to ask, too, for a little money. As Wilbur brought up, we can always use it. You've gotten a good idea of how many different types of programs we offer there, but occasionally we have some capital needs out there, and one of them is air conditioning. You know, that's a big office. We offer a lot of different services there, but fire doors are another thing that are, this is an older building, but it's a wonderful building because it's got so many different areas that can be used. But we'd like you to consider maybe a one-timer of $30,000 if you can. We're only asking for level funding on our operating money. But as Barbara told you, we give fundraisers, we have some memberships through Silver Sneakers, we have a lot of ways that we try to keep the cost down for the citizens, and we serve a tremendous amount of people in this area, and we know that you all support it and that you all will want to keep it going. And we thank you for what you've done in the past, and we look forward to working with you in the future. And like I say, I have to go out and buy some new clothes, so that's a great big plus for VIA, for everybody here. Okay, thank you so much.
Hey, thank you.
One more person. Mr. Byrne.
Distinguished members of the City Council, thank you for your time. My name is Robert Byrne. I live at 2523 Oakview Drive, 36606. I am a 100% combat disabled Vietnam veteran, a United States Marine. My wife Martha and I have belonged to VIA for 5 years. It's been a blessing and critical in keeping our health and keeping my legs. But this is not about us. This is about the other people at VIA, those that don't have the opportunity to move to another facility. They are solely dependent on the facility. I would like to thank you and the city for your financial support in the past. It has been critical in keeping the doors open, the lights on, the equipment working, and the hot food coming for the elderly and disabled. I am here for those not able to talk for themselves. VIA is an island of security in Midtown. It supplies so much more than a gym. It supplies hot meals, health fairs, monitoring of health, art classes, and it has yoga and a library, and many other things to fill the void in the life of the elderly and disabled. The wonderful staff do an excellent job under difficult circumstances and a tight budget, keeping everything working and clean. They monitor the members to assure all needs are met. They honor the veterans several times a year. They secure many activities to fill the days and for those who are disabled and aged. But in the end, it still boils down to funding. And the city is an essential part of that, keeping the doors open. Please help VIA and those who depend on VIA to have a better quality of life. Find it in your hearts, once again, to include us in your budget. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to say to the members who are here from the VIA Center, to the director, Ms. Estes, and to everyone connected with it, I've been a staunch supporter of VIA and its programs during my time here, and I will continue to support those efforts. You do an outstanding job. In my opinion, it's the #1 senior recreational center in the city of Mobile. Bar none. And so you all continue your great work, and I'm sure that you have more than just my support on this council. Thank you for all that you do.
Resolutions held over 21392, authorized contract of SC Stagner Contracting for 3 Mile Creek Biking and Walking Trail.
So moved.
Second.
Proper motion and second. Well, proper motion. Let's give them an opportunity to. Thank you all for coming down.
Gotta get our grandfriends back for lunch. So they
All right.
Okay.
Okay, we had a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes.
Ordinance is being introduced for the first time, 52015.
By council rules, this ordinance will lay over for 1 week.
Consent resolutions being introduced, 37396 through 6411.
Motion to suspend the rules for immediate consideration of resolution 396 through 6411.
Second. Probably motion and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
37396, 397, and 398 are recommending approval to the ABC Board for issuance of a restaurant retail liquor license for Lucky's Irish Pub and Grill, for a retail beer, table wine, off-premises only license for University Chevron, and for a retail beer, table wine, off-premises only license for Murphy Express.
Second.
Probably motion and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Items passed.
399, 400, and 400. I'll just take those two, and I'll take the other two separate. 4399 and 4400 are declaring structures at 1851 Boykin Boulevard, 724, also known as 718 Bankhead Place, public nuisances, and ordering them demolished.
Based on staff report and upon evidence submitted during the public hearing, I move to approve the said resolutions.
Second.
Probably motion and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Items passed.
40401, declare the structure at 348 Kamel Street a public nuisance and order it demolished.
Motion to postpone the decision on 348 Kamel Street.
Second.
Probably motion and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes.
It's not.
Come on, get in the mic.
Clarification.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that for 6 months, the postponement?
That's what was indicated by Mr. Dawes, 6 months.
Yes.
So do we
Do
need
we want to do I didn't understand it was
6 months?
specific. I will amend my motion for a postponement for 6 months on the decision at 348 Kamel Street.
Second.
Probably motion and second. Any discussion?
I just have a question about the, and Mr. Doffenbach might be able to answer this, just so I understand. Is this something where it would automatically come back, or do you have to go through all kinds of notification and court research? Because isn't there a lag time from when this council acts to when it actually proceeds to be demolished?
I think council would be the better one to answer that particular question, but if I need to, municipal enforcement can put it back on council's agenda if we need to.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure
No, it can
we're
automatically
creating.
come back. He doesn't have to start over.
Okay, that's all I wanted to make sure of that. Okay, thank you.
440.
Did we vote?
Oh, did we vote?
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
48407, declare the structure at 962 Government Street a public nuisance and order it repaired.
We have the same motion need to be made on that one as well.
Yes.
That based on staff report and upon evidence submitted during public hearing, the motion is to approve said resolution.
So moved.
Probably motion and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
6408, approve award of special bonus to police officer of the month as part of the mayor's incentive program, and 6411, determine expenditure of discretionary funds for contribution to the Mobile Sports Authority serves a public purpose and order and approve payment.
So moved.
Second.
Probably motion and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Items passed.
CIP resolutions being introduced, 21402.
Motion for the suspension of the rules for immediate consideration of resolution 21402.
Second.
Probably motion and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes.
21402, authorized contract of Harris Contracting Services for Langham Park pole replacement, Field B.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? Not all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes.
Resolutions being introduced for the first time, 01412 through 31410.
Motion for the suspension of the rules for immediate consideration of resolution 31410 and the rest will lay over for 1 week by council rules.
Second.
Properly motion and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
31410, authorize the mayor to apply, accept, and receive funding from the Port Security Grant Program.
So moved.
Second.
Properly motion and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes.
Call for public hearings, 41406, call for public hearing to rezone property at 451 and 457 Dolphin Island Parkway, 1965 and 1967 Antoine Street, and 1968 Duncan Street, southeast corner of Dolphin Island Parkway and Antoine Street, extending to the north side of Duncan Street, 150 feet east of Dolphin Island Parkway, from R1, B1, and B3 to B3, scheduled July 17th.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly motioned and second. Any discussion? Not all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is called.
Announcements.
Mr. Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I just have one matter I'd like to mention today. This council and the administration have spent a lot of time and effort, not completely successful, but moderately successful, in trying to rid our city of litter. And some time ago, 3 or 4 years ago, we had an extended, I think my recollection is several extended discussions about various ordinances having to do with placing signs in the city's right-of-way. And after a very extended discussion in which we had several committee hearings, we heard a lot of people, we went back and forth, we finally ended up with an ordinance that reaffirmed that those such signs were prohibited in the rights of way, except during 5 o'clock p.m. on Saturday to 8 o'clock a.m. on Monday. 4 o'clock Friday till 8 o'clock a.m. on Monday. And what's happened, what I see now as I drive down the road, is that all these political signs are in there. We have people running for all sorts of political offices who have signs illegally placed in the rights of way. These are people running for judgeships. These are people running for attorney general. These are people running for sheriff. These are people running for all kinds of offices that have to do with the enforcement of our laws, and they are violating our laws. And so I would just urge all candidates to control the people that are out there placing your signs to make sure that you're not violating city ordinances. Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
Mrs. Rich.
Thank you. I'm going to dovetail on that because I'm going to ask candidates that were not successful and are not in the runoff to please remove their signs as well. And yes, there are rules, and I do believe that people watch the candidates when they don't follow the rules, and it might prohibit their successful campaigns. But anyway, I just would like to also remind people about the meeting tomorrow, especially the people in District 6 who are near the last opportunity to come out to talk about our parks, the future use of our parks, with the consultant that was hired by the city to learn from the citizens exactly what we want. And this will be tomorrow at 5:30 at the West Regional Library. And the doors open at 5:30 and the presentation starts at 6. And I know there is one today for those that would like to also go, and I believe that's at the Women's and Children's Hospital. Not exactly sure where within that building, but I'm sure if you enter the main doors, they will point you in the right direction. So I really hope we get a good turnout for this, and I look forward to seeing people from the district, particularly tomorrow, because I plan on being present to listen. And again, we're looking at the future of our parks and its facilities and programming. So please be part of that message. Thanks.
Mrs. Gregory?
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Again, this week we will have Market in the Park at Lovretta Park on Old Shell Road from 3 until 6. These markets in the park happen every Thursday through the end of July. Again, it's 3 until 6. We have local growers who come and bring their vegetables and fruits and flowers and some arts and crafts. It's a great way to pick up some of these great values from our community. So come on out, 3 until 6 every Thursday through the end of July at Market in the Park on Old Shell Road at Lovretta Park. I also am planning a meeting with the Ravine Woods residents that will come up on July 31st. Ravine Woods residents have collected funds and they have installed cameras in their neighborhood. They are working very closely with the police department and Project Shield. When we meet on the 31st, we will discuss how the cameras work, what residents need to know, and also get an update from the police department. Captain Billy Rowland will be there, as will Kevin Levy. So I just look forward to that. It will be at 6 o'clock at Spring Hill Baptist Church, again on July 31st. I do want to do another shout out for our firefighters and all the volunteers who have been working out at Langen Park for us. They have power washed the pavilions and the restrooms out there. Now we'll be getting ready to start doing some painting. This is our effort to make some improvements at Langen Park to make it look better as we go forward with some other improvements that will be coming very soon that I'm really excited about. It just takes a little while to get some of these things done, but by the time the summer is over, hopefully we will have some things going that I think everyone will be very excited to see out at Langen Park. And also I had gotten some emails and inquiries about trash. As you know, the trash has been behind a little bit, but this morning, the Thursday routes had been collected. Friday had started at least. In my neighborhood, we are picked up on Friday, so it was this morning that the trash was collected, and they were hoping to start the Monday routes. We also have been told that some new trucks have arrived, and some of the drivers who have not been working will be back at work, so hopefully that will get all of the trash back on track again. And I just appreciate getting all the information and all the updates from Interim Executive Director John Peavy, who is keeping all of the council members up to speed on exactly what's going on with trash so that we can then tell our residents what's going on. Mr. Vice President, that's all from District 7.
Thank you, Mrs. Gregory and Mr. Williams.
Thank you very much. I had an item on the agenda for the Mobile Sports Authority, something I did last year. And that is that on the 4th of July weekend, we're going to host a American Legion baseball tournament. There's going to be 9 teams from outside the city of Mobile, people coming in and occupying, and let me tell you how successful it is. We put a stipulation on it last year that any money over what was expended on the agreed upon expenses would come back to the city. And it's something that I've been preaching at the Mobile Sports Authority for a couple of years now. They returned just over $4,000 so that we would not have to fund the whole thing. And it's our goal that this tournament will eventually grow to something that will fund itself. And it's well on its way after 1 year of being successful and already field all available positions from north of Montgomery, or Montgomery and north of there, with American Legion teams. So it's going to be a great event, and I thank the administration for moving so quickly on it to make it happen. It'll be a great event at the Bay Bear Stadium the 4th of July weekend. Last evening, I took a tour with my friend Bob Isaacson of Downtown Mobile Developments. And he has no less than 20 projects going on, but he showed me a double handful of what is going on in downtown Mobile. And that is places for people to live, places, unique places for people to work, and plenty places for a downtown grocery store that has been asked for over and over again. So the future's bright in District 2.
That's right.
And in our entertainment district. And I'd like to thank the BID and Bob Isaacson and John Peebles and the folks like them that are making our city a rejuvenated place to live and work and play. Thank you.
Mr. Small?
Thank you, Vice President Manzi. To the citizens of District 3, just a reminder, we're experiencing a lot of rain in the city of Mobile, and so a lot of rain, that means a lot of grass is growing. So therefore, we do have several homes and that is empty, lots that are empty that the grass is growing. If you experience that in your neighborhood, please dial 311. And if you cannot dial 311 from your phone, please dial 208-5311. Again, the quicker that you call, the quicker the city can react to that particular property. Again, if you come across any homes that are empty, no one staying there in the lots that are just plain old, just there and the grass is growing, please report that to the city by dialing 311 or 208-5311. On next week, I will be announcing the date and the time of our back to school rallies, annual event that we've been having, I think, for like 5 or 6 years. And again, I will be announcing that on next week. Thank you, Vice President Manzi.
Thank you, Mr. Small. Mr. Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Just a word on signs. I think if the city went out there and swept the right of way during the campaign process, I think it would serve a great notice on those people. They're not going to keep putting those signs up and let the city take them from them. But when the city does not do anything, they're going to be out there after the election. That's what we're finding out. I think the city needs to take some aggressive action and sweep all political signs out of the city right away during the election cycle, during the campaign cycle. And they won't be out there after the campaign is over. I'd like to announce that we're going to have a Public Works job fair at Dumas Wesley Center Monday, Monday, July the 2nd, not this Monday. It's going to be Monday, July the 2nd at 6 p.m. It's going to be sponsored by Districts 1, 2, and 3. I understand that there are at least 20 vacant positions in Public Works. They're not picking up the garbage on time, not picking up the trash on time. They don't have enough workers. So we want to do something about it. We'll put on a job fair so people can come and find out what it is that they would have to do to take on those jobs. So I've asked Mr. Peavy, who is heading up Public Works, to come and talk about the various jobs. I've invited the director of the Mobile County Personnel Board to come and talk about what they do in that regard. And the response on Facebook has been tremendous. I'm asking those people who are looking for a job, the standard is not as high as some of these other jobs, but it pays well. It comes with benefits, including once you get on regular health insurance, vacation, the whole thing. So you might want to come and find out what it is you need to do to get one of these jobs. The Mobile Police Department during the month of June is meeting in all of the 4 precincts. In the area of the 4 precincts, they've already, I think they've hit precinct 1, 2. They're going to be in precinct 3, June 26th, Monday, Thursday, June 21st. They're going to be at the Dodge Community Center. They are going to have the captain of the precincts there. They're going to have the lieutenants there. They're going to talk about crime prevention and their fight against crime. They want the citizens to come out and discuss any matter, any issue pertaining to crime with them, and just generally meet the lieutenants and the captains and the officers that's going to be patrolling their streets and keeping them safe. So for all the citizens in the Trinity Gardens area, all over precinct 3, come to the Dodge Community Center Thursday, this coming Thursday, June 21st at 6 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson. I want to start by putting some more emphasis on this public services job fair. happy to be working with Councilman Richardson and Councilman Small to work to beef up those numbers. We know that these particular jobs are critically important. We hear from residents every day when either the garbage, the trash, or some other function under these departments is not fulfilled. We've got some hard-working employees in all of those divisions, and I just want to go on record again and saying to those who are here from Public Works that I support your effort, and if a raise is put on the agenda, that I'm going to be in full and complete support of that raise. We believe you ought to be compensated fairly and comparably to your fellow brothers and sisters throughout the region. And so I'm hopeful that a meeting, I see this meeting request form, and I'm hopeful that Mayor Stimson and all other pertinent staff members will have that meeting as soon as possible, so that hopefully this can be an issue we can move forward positively on. So that'll be on Monday, July the 2nd at 6 p.m. I plan on being there. It'll be in all of my newsletters. I've been making an announcement in our church on Facebook, and it'll go on all my social media outlets so that those who are in need of work and employment can learn of the various positions available at this job fair and hopefully take advantage of the opportunity and come and work for the city of Mobile.
Did we get a PDF on this job fair yet?
Ms. Danfels, is there a PDF of the job fair available? She sent it around on Monday. I got it.
Okay.
She'll resend it.
I'm sure you did. I'm sure I missed it. But please send it again. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
No problem. I want to thank our special events department, Mr. Greg Cyprian and Miss, I'm looking right at her, and Miss Rambo, Ann Rambo, with special events, and all of the employees that work with special events. They do an outstanding job. When we have various events in the community, they are there, they set up, they pick up. In January, they even had to pick me up when I failed. If it was special events, those employees were Johnny on the spot. They helped me when that occurred. And this past weekend, there were 2 events that if it were not for their participation and the administration pushing this through, would not have occurred. That was the dedication of the Vivian Malone Jones honorary street signing. The family had a family reunion here, and it was real important that it be done a certain way. And it's my understanding that special events stepped up to the task and got that accomplished. Great job. And then also with the Africatown Blue Way kickoff that happened this past Saturday. They were there, set up, mic, all of those things, those amenities that go into making a successful event. That happens through special events. And I'm just appreciative of Ms. Rambo and Mr. Greg Cyprian and all of the employees for the wonderful job that they do. I'll have a meeting date next week for the residents in the vicinity of Ladd Stadium to talk about some of the issues that were referenced here in council meeting today. I want to make certain that we can appreciate and understand fully the sentiments of the residents and those who might be impacted one way or the other. So we'll be working, Ms. Val, if you could work with me to get that set up for next week, that'd be great. And to Mr. Williams, he had an opportunity to ride through my great district. I'm glad to know that he's coming around to the same conclusion I already knew, that this is the greatest district in the city of Mobile. District 2, for the record, is the cultural, religious, educational, culinary, biblical, governmental epicenter of the city of Mobile. And I want that in the record so that everyone will know, and I'm proud that Mr. Williams rode around my district, and I want to set up times for the rest of you to do the same so that you can catch up.
There's one epicenter it's not, and that's the geographical epicenter, which is District 5. Thank you very much.
Mr. Richardson, and then Madam City Clerk.
Paul. Okay, hold that just for a moment, because we've gotten some kind remarks about special events. Last night we had a special event at the Sage Park, the lighting of the Sage Park, and
We've heard about this 3 times already today.
but you haven't heard this. We requested special events to bring a microphone with them, and we purchased the water and all of that, and they was going to put it on ice, they have plenty of ice, and bring the ice and the water up to the park. Lo and behold, they informed us that they could bring the microphone, they could not deliver the water. So we had to send somebody to go pick up the water. They delivered the microphone, but they couldn't bring the water. So I'm saying, we got the mayor up there trying to get some water, special events can't bring the water. That's one part of we want special events to treat District 1 like they treat the great District 2. We want, you know, why couldn't they bring the water with them? You got 2 council members, you got the mayor and all there, and I think they're there to serve us and the people, and we want them to do what we charge them to do. No,
the water was there. It was in a cooler, but it was left at special events, and they were just asked if they could just bring it when they bring the microphones to the park also, but they said that that wasn't included in the request to bring the cooler with the mics.
Motion to adjourn.
I have one more. I would like to introduce our intern, Savannah Long. She's a student at the University of South Alabama with interdisciplinary studies. Savannah will be with us this summer, and we hope that she'll be with us in the fall.
And we have one more coming, and then we'll have a full cadre of interns, a lot of interning going on. We're happy to have the other 3. If all of you could stand, let's recognize all of them. Have we made a motion? Yeah. So there's been a motion and a second to adjourn. Any discussion?
Yes.
Mr. Richardson?
I don't want to say that.
All in favor?